From the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, this is a Headache Soul production. Welcome to Just the Tip-Sters, America's favorite true crime podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Morgan. With me today is my handsome and talented co-host, Joshua Double O Bevan.
Double O, yes!
0 skills, 0 motivation, 7 bathroom breaks.
Oh, boy.
It didn't go like you thought, did it?
No. It sounded way cooler.
It did sound good than that. But I got to bring you back down. I got to bring you back down to reality.
Man, that was a roller coaster.
That was hard, huh? That was harsh.
Way up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No.
Full. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You're always using my bathroom. So, yeah.
Well, I mean,
you use it more than I do.
I would imagine.
Yeah. The powder room downstairs you use more than I do. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry.
All right.
You know I had to do it.
I'm still keeping.
You're writing that one down.
Though.
Yeah, I do like that.
That's cool.
It's so cute that it, yeah, 007 Bevan.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, 0 skills, 0 motivation. But that's you.
Well, yeah.
All right, you might have a couple skills. You grow an epic beard.
Oh shit! Hey.
You grow a fucking epic beard.
I can remain still while hair grows on my face.
It's really, it's magnificent to watch. So Tip-Sters, Joshua has been growing at the wrong time of the year because it's 1,000 degrees, but a really epic Viking beard he is growing. And it's not tippling over into the tipster world. It's more epic than that. And when he decides to keep it and get it shaped, it's going to be even more epic. If he decides to grow it back when it's cooler and he doesn't want to pull the hair out by the roots in the heat. Yeah. It's just to know you can do it though. Right. Because you can grow an epic fucking beard, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah. It looks great.
Yeah. I think it was just like, it was kind of a whim. It was my youngest, Isaiah, was like, "Oh yeah, you should totally grow it out." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like my clients I see on a daily basis, they're, whatever. I don't have people to impress. Like, all right.
Right. You're wearing a fucking Kermit shirt.
I'm wearing a Kermit.
Playing at the banjo. So yeah, there's nobody that's impressed by your attire and your beard. Yeah. Exactly.
Like, okay, I'll do it. And then I didn't really see the timing, and now
I didn't either though until you mentioned
week,
it. It's going to be 104.
104.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
blessedly lower humidity. Yeah,
all of this.
Right.
And I'm like, all right.
Happy July.
Yeah. So yeah, he was out. Isaiah, my son, was out on a trip. So I'm like, all right, I just need to wait until he gets back, and I'll talk to him and say, because he's the one who said it.
Yeah.
And
how do you take it if you said, can I?
No, he says, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, that's nice.
He thought it was cool, but he wants it to be a full on like wizard beard.
Yes.
Like
I think you can do that.
Belly button.
I would call it Viking, but if he calls it wizard, that's fine. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
And I think you can do that. I absolutely think you can do that.
Yeah. And I don't know. And I think it's probably also a mindset thing that I have it in my head. If I shave it, I'll be a couple degrees cooler. If I throw that out of my head, then
you'll just keep
then
growing.
It won't be a thing.
Right.
But
there might come a time when you're like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And it would be great to grow in the winter.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, welcome to Hair Care with Mel and Josh. Hey, ladies, you ever think about a Brazilian? Go for it.
I mean, it is. Yes.
Hair Care with a K.
Yeah. Yes.
Care.
Oh,
yeah.
You need some inspections and
yeah, you do. I'm quite sure.
Some tips. Just
no one needs you inspecting their Brazilian, Joshua. No one.
Go ahead and send your pictures to.
No, this is not Beaver Hunt. This is a quality, first class podcast, my friend. You are not soliciting vagina pictures. Because you think you're a hair care expert. No.
No. All right.
Erase.
Fine.
Wow. Okay, then. So anyway, our sponsors today. We will finally go on the Black Dahlia tour. We're going to do it, goddammit. So everything gets postponed, but we are going in August if it kills us. I swear to God. So we're having a Tipster visit and we are going to make it. I swear to God, we've been trying since February and this is killing me, but we are going. And if you have any interest when you are in the LA area of going on an amazing tour, I suggest you go on any of the wonderful tours that Graveline offers. If you go to their website and put in Tipster 40, you get a 40% discount on any of the tours you want to go. And hey, since we couldn't do the July one, maybe you can join us in August.
No, I am excited that it's getting rescheduled. I'm bummed that your tour got rescheduled.
Yeah,
but I'm selfishly excited. Like, oh well, yeah, maybe I can actually come.
I will give you the dates that are, I still haven't booked the tour, so because I'm waiting on the flight itinerary. Sure. So, but I'm praying to God we can do this. I really am praying to God we can do this time. Okay. So, what else? Oh yeah, I want to thank new YouTube subscribers Tabitha H and Amanda E. Thank you so much for subscribing on YouTube. And if you're enjoying this content, please consider giving us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. We would appreciate it so much because that's how people find us. I am so happy to tell you about my experience with Magic Mind. I've been using it for over a month now, and I'm telling you, I think it's one of the things that keeps me holding on. I'm a big believer in supplements and herbs and things like this, and Magic Mind is kind of magical, not just because of its name. And I'm actually really excited. I pre-ordered Magic Sleep.
Magic Sleep?
Yes, they're coming out with a new elixir, but we'll talk about that later. But I'm very excited about that. Also, it comes in purple. I just want to mention that. That's my favorite.
Oh, Magic Sleep is purple?
Yeah. So Magic Mind is green right, matcha, and it is a fantastic elixir that keeps you dialed in. It lowers stress, yet keeps you like even and balanced, and it gives you energy, but not too much energy. It is combined with any sort of caffeine that you consume. It does not give you too much caffeine. It's got a little bit because of the matcha, but it has so many other wonderful things, the adaptogens and herbs that you get like 100% of your, I think it's C and D for the day. You get, a lot of good things. It's got ashwagandha and turmeric. Yeah. Vitamin C and D3. You get, for your whole day's amount that you need. It's a lot of stuff combined in a little 2-ounce elixir that you drink. You can keep it on the counter. I prefer to have mine cold. I like it served cold. Cool. So I have it first thing in the morning, and then I have my Mountain Dew Kickstart. And I'm telling you, it has made such a difference. If you feel like you can't even do it just for yourself, just remember you're going to be a better person and you're going to be able to help more people. It has made me have more energy and more keep on an even keel with friends that are going through some tough times that I might normally have just kind of cracked. Oh, wow. It's kept me, even keeled. And let me tell you something. Last week with my crime statistics final exam, I thought it might end me. And probably one of the reasons I was able to go on was Magic Mind, because I poor Joshua, I texted him several times like, look, I can't record on Thursday. I have to study all day for this exam. Right. We can do it on Friday. And then on Thursday about midday, I'm like, I am struggling. We can't do it Friday. I need a day to decompress. And I'll be honest, I could have probably done it on Friday, but I always want to be at my best when we record. So sweet Joshua was so patient with me, and we're recording today, later than we want, but we're not going to miss any weeks of getting the content out. And I'm telling you, it's because of Magic Mind. So I am really grateful to them. I am not just getting product in exchange for the sponsorship. I am a client. I am a customer. I purchased it before we got any of the product, and I am on the pre-order list for Magic Sleep. So you can look for that too. But if you just go to magicmind.com and you put in Tip-Sters 20, you get 20% off, and I believe free shipping. Check it out and see if it's for you. They give you a lot of information on there that on the website that you can find out if it's for you. And I'm telling you, it's been so helpful to me. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Grateful to them, because I need some help being held together. I'll just be honest right now. So this is an episode I told absolutely nothing about to Joshua. And I said, I think you're going to have some good opinions about this. And now he's like, I'm not, I'll tell him and he'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this. What's happening?
Oh, so, I might have heard of this.
No. Oh, you will. First of all, for your age, you know a lot. I'm going to say you're an old soul because Joshua is, quite a bit younger than me. And I mention things and he knows about them. I think you're astute student of history.
Okay, fair.
Things that interest you especially.
Right.
But a wide range of things that I am like, for your age, I'm like, how does he know about that? But like very few things have I ever mentioned. And you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. That would be mostly like pop culture, more for my age than yours.
Oh, fair.
Anything like, that is in the, the mind of the world, the zeitgeist, I think you have a really good receiver and you pick up stuff.
Thank you.
You dial around, you pick up stuff, and you have a lot in your brain for your age that is always surprising to me.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate that.
So and I mean that. I wouldn't say it, even though you are 007, Bevan. I do respect your brain quite a bit.
Well,
so this is, I liked to think that I knew a lot, and I felt like, I'm learning as I go along. And the only reason we're covering this case, which has been covered by, I wouldn't say so many podcasts, but by every news outlet. Okay. From 1975 to today. Okay. They're still looking today because this case is such a huge part of our mythology in America. It is, everyone has a theory. There are so many different things that have come up that people have said they participated in that, they're responsible for. It's more fascinating than I could have imagined, but we're going to be talking about the case of Jimmy Hoffa.
Oh, okay.
So here is why I would want to do this, because I normally would be like, why would I want to cover? To me, covering this would be like covering Amelia Earhart or John Benet Ramsey or a lot of large cases where I'm not going to have anything new to say.
Right, yeah.
But I do in this case. So my mother and father, my mother left my father when she was 8 months pregnant with me. Okay. And moved back in with my grandparents. And we lived with them until I was 6. And then we moved to the house next door that my grandparents bought and my mom rented from them. Cool. So I grew up right next to my grandparents for 12 years, which not having a dad was, a good thing because my grandfather was really a second dad to me. Right. When I look back at pictures of me as a kid, he's the one standing behind me holding up my 2-wheel bike. He had taken off my training wheels. There's a picture of me playing in a sandbox and he's there painting the wood red. He built it for me. Yeah. He was a second dad to me.
Beautiful.
He was a good dad to my mom. And I think he even learned more as he got older and was a great grandpa/dad to me.
Cool.
So he was a over-the-road long-distance truck driver for 27 years.
Okay.
So he was a Teamster.
Okay.
His company was Yellow Freight Transit, which just in the last couple of years was purchased by, Roadways, a larger company.
Right.
As a kid, I was always transfixed because Yellow Freight Transit, their logo was orange, and I did not know why.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. So they were mostly east of the Mississippi, and then later on became more West Coast. And when I would see a yellow transit freight truck on the freeway out here, I would say, "Hi, Grandpa." It just felt like it was a message,
Sweet.
And his name was Russell Webster, and he was a proud Teamster, and he was earning a good living, taking care of his wife. My grandmother was an accountant. My mom worked, and he was taking care of me, my mom, and my grandmother.
Nice.
He was a great dude. He was funny and bizarre and came from a shitty background. He was the oldest of 8 kids. During the Depression, he went to work for the 3C camp. They built, bridges and stuff. And and his father was a moonshiner, and his mom died in childbirth with the youngest kid. So when he was in the 8th grade, he quit school to go to work to support the family. Okay. And he was, 8th grade education, still one of the smartest men I've ever met.
Wow.
Would misspell words, but somehow it made it more charming.
Oh.
And he was poetic. He would leave notes, beautifully written notes and poems for me, my mom, and my grandmother around the breakfast table when he had to leave and drive late at night.
Early, yeah.
One of my favorite pictures is him leaving around December, and I have on feety pajamas, and he's holding me up. And he was only 5'7" or 5'8", but to me, he was a giant. And he's holding me, and he's wearing his yellow transit freight outfit, which looked like a cop uniform.
Oh,
they had jackets,
okay.
And they had hats with with the emblem on the front. Those old school cop. It's very fascinating. Okay. Yeah, whole uniform. So he would go to the terminal in Cincinnati, pick up his truck, and his route was typically Cincinnati to Effingham, Illinois, and back. Okay. But sometimes he would go further. But he was a Teamster, and I was a kid, and I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
Nor did I care. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, I remember my grandfather, tough guy, but sweet, gentle, sensitive soul. But I don't ever remember seeing him cry. Mm. And one morning, very early, back then in the 1800s when I was a kid, there was one telephone. Right. And it was a corded phone, and it was in the middle of the house. It was in the family room. Right. And when the phone rang late at night, it was typically a family member calling to tell you someone died.
Sure.
Everybody woke up and gathered around, right. So we were all there. And the phone rang early one morning, middle of the night. My grandfather answered it, and I heard him just say a couple of things like, okay, okay, are you sure? Okay. And he hung up, and he said, he's gone. And my grandmother's like, who? And he said, Hoffa. And he started crying. Ooh. Not sobbing, but there were tears coming down his face, and he went back to bed quickly because he didn't want, all the women to see him cry. I didn't know who that was. My mom and my grandmother knew. Later on, my mom explained, he was the head of the Teamsters, took care of the, pension funds for Teamster, just tried to explain it to me.
Right.
And I was like, how does grandpa know he's gone? And because he was missing, wow. Still missing. Right. So I'm so young. I don't know how he knows, but he sat down one day at the kitchen table and gave me details I remember to this day. Red Fox Restaurant, okay, which is where he disappeared from. That stuck in my head.
Okay.
Why would someone want to hurt him? And he said, I don't know that he used words mob or mafia, right, or if I would have known what that meant, right? Because it's 1975. Right. I'm 10 or 11. Sure. I'm a kid, so I don't know. And he said it was probably an ordered murder from someone higher up, and I'm like, who would be higher up? Not knowing. And he, in this theory I've not heard since, but he said he was garroted. And I was like,
I don't even know that word.
Oh, garrot, Garrot.
Oh, garrot.
He was garroted.
Garroted. Okay.
And I was like, what does that mean? And he drew a picture.
Oh, boy.
He's like, he would be sitting in a chair and someone would put a rope or something around his neck and pull it until they strangled him. I knew what garrot meant at that age.
Oh, wow.
And he said, that's what I've been told. He said, I don't know that that's what happened. But so he tells me all of this, and it stays in the back of my mind. But the biggest thing to me was that my grandfather cried because that was just not like him.
Oh, sure.
So I was aware of some of the details, but, and I've always heard, he's buried under the New York Giants Stadium or, whatever.
Sure, yeah.
He's buried everywhere. There had to be more pieces of Jimmy Hoffa than there were people in the United States.
Sure.
He's buried everywhere. So many people have taken credit. But the thing that I thought was so fascinating was the film The Irishman. I saw the Hoffa movie with Jack Nicholson, and Jack Nicholson looked much more like Jimmy Hoffa than Al Pacino did in The Irishman. But Al Pacino amazed me. Okay. He was more, during the speeches, he was definitely, scenery chewing Pacino.
Right.
But during the other scenes, he was subdued. And he was much, much more like I think Jimmy Hoffa probably was.
Okay.
Because my grandfather had met him several times.
Okay.
And I know when he died, he said, or when he went missing, he said he was a good man.
Yeah, wow.
And to my grandfather, he was. Say what you will.
Sure. I mean, he's all politics are local. What Hoffa did directly for your family, I mean, that's huge.
Yes, that's very true.
And that's,
if my grandfather said he was a good man, he meant that. He didn't say that about everyone. Right. He said he was a good man.
Cool.
And he meant that. So again, say what you will about Jimmy Hoffa. Right. I don't care what your opinion is. He is missing. His family has not known, where he went. And he was 62 years old and still had a lot of life left.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care what you think or not think about Jimmy Hoffa. It directly made my grandfather feel more powerful, in charge of his own life, for taking care of his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter. And he and my I guess he'd be my great uncle, my grandmother's brother, had a small trucking company when they were younger, way before I came along, when my mom was little.
Oh, privately they did.
Yes.
Okay.
And just the two of them. And it was bought out by another company. And they thought that was going to be, great for them, but it turned out to, I guess, not be as good of a deal. So that's why he went to work for Yellow Transit. Oh. But he, didn't have a representative at the time. He wasn't part of a union. He was an independent business owner. Yeah. And he thought he and my uncle were going to be okay. And it turns out he had to go back to work, I think much quicker than he thought. I don't really know the timing, but I know he worked for Yellow Transit for 27 years.
Wow.
So, he was there for a while.
Yeah.
So, and he was grateful for the union, protecting him and everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here we are, 1975, July 30th. It's a Wednesday. And Jimmy Hoffa gets a call to meet Tony Pro, who is a New Jersey, head of a mob nicknamed Tony Pro. Tony Provenzano is his name. And they have Jimmy Hoffa and Tony Provenzano have kind of a rocky relationship. Okay. If you have seen the movie The Irishman, that was the what was used, the case file used by Marty Scorsese to do the film, and it's from the book I Hear You Paint Houses.
Okay.
Which is the biography of Frank Sheeran, who was an Irish truck driver.
Got it.
Who gets introduced to Jimmy Hoffa.
Got it.
And becomes much, more than a guy who drives a truck.
Okay.
He is given, like a Teamster group, and he kind of proves himself to be loyal.
Right.
He also says he's responsible for Hoffa's disappearance.
Oh.
So the Irishman, right.
Okay.
Like a 40-year friendship.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why he says he is responsible. There's a little bit of evidence, and then it was proven to not be, but we'll get to that. It's a fascinating rise. Jimmy Hoffa's born in a little town in Indiana and rises, I think, to the head of the, International Brotherhood of Teamsters because he is able to rouse crowds, and I believe, like, everyone had the best of intentions.
Sure.
You can say investing the Teamsters pension with the mob was bad. However, at the time of his going missing, the fund had grown to like $1 billion, and that is not adjusted for inflation. That it was $1 billion in 75. So is it the best way? Wow. Is it the most legal way? No. But what he did was protect the working people who would never have made that much money because they didn't have quote unquote degrees.
Right.
And I'll be honest, with people like Mike Rowe and other people, I'm happy that it's swinging back toward not everyone needs to go to college.
Right.
You can make a good living as a blue collar worker with your skills, with your brain, with your hands, with your ingenuity, and you don't have to go to 4 years of fucking college.
And take out the debt.
Yes,
that
exactly.
All of that costs to go to. And no, I talk to people my age multiple times. I mean, this has happened now I keep meeting like different friends of, parents of my boys' friends. And it's like different, tradesmen. And I'm like, wow, so you're living in this neighborhood, one of these nicer houses, and what, like as a plumber, like, wow, man, that you're doing well, good job. And this is, these are 40-year-old guys that I'm like, man, so they've been working for 22 years in whatever trade and doing great.
And Jimmy Hoffa.
I wasted, the first 5 years of it. in college.
Wasted. Getting an education.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's been an odd experience. This is a slight sidebar. This course that I'm, involved in now, I'm halfway through getting a certificate to be a crime analyst. And the first 4 modules of this 10-module program were pretty good. Some of them were challenging, but I felt like I learned a lot. This last one, statistics using deep dive Excel spreadsheets, I thought might end my life. It was absolutely awful. And I hope to never use it again. But I am in a class that I thought I would be the oldest person in class, and I am not. There's several people who are retired who are wanting this certificate, I guess maybe to go back to work or to be, consultants or something. But there's a lot of people in their 30s, 40s, even 50s that are working in like the probation department. And several people are already crime analysts, but they are assistant. I'm going to just give you one example of a beautiful, wonderful woman named Michelle, who is very brilliant. And she is a crime analyst assistant. And she said she will never be able to be promoted to a full-fledged crime analyst until she gets a bachelor's degree. And I'm like, what? Like, she's been working for an organization, let's call it the LAPD, because that's what it is, for, like 14 years or something. Wow. And she is an assistant, and she is brilliant and thoughtful and thinks outside the box. And she's, in her mid 40s. And she said she has an associate's degree in business. So she's getting this certificate to be a crime analyst. Right. But she needs to go back and spend a few more years getting a bachelor's degree before she can be promoted.
Just because that's where that bar is.
Yeah, bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So I said, are you shitting me? And she said, no. And she said, and I'm not changing majors. I'm going to get my bachelor's degree in business because I have all these other credits with my associate's degree. Yeah. I'm not going to change to criminology now, but I'm getting this certificate.
Right.
And I will tell you another personal story. I got to take tests and interview for jobs I otherwise would not be able to because I have a bachelor's degree. Right. I got to interview for 4 different jobs as a law enforcement technician, i.e. they start you as a dispatcher. And they said you need to have a year as an assistant to a detective. And I was like, at first they turned me down. And I was like, okay. And a detective said, here's what you're going to do. You're going to appeal that. And you're going to say, I have way more than a year assisting a detective because I have done a podcast
here.
And I have assisted many detectives, including those in your own, LA County Sheriff's Department.
Right.
And they were like, okay, they folded. They folded when I appealed it. And they said, all we need your transcript for your bachelor's degree. And I go, but it's in radio, TV, film, which is like having a degree in recess.
JL.
And they said, that's great. It's a bachelor's degree. Yeah. And I said, okay, well, I have these 2 classes at College of the Canyons in police policies and procedures and criminal investigation. And they're like, yeah, we don't need that. You have a bachelor's degree.
Huh. A bachelor's degree. In whatever.
Yep.
But
underwater basket weaving.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
So odd.
I do believe that it's odd.
Yeah.
Considering the people I know that are so smart and want to be, want to do more and be more, and they're being hampered by a degree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I promise it leads back to Jimmy Hoffa helping people that didn't have the ability to go to college,
right,
make a good living and be protected, for health insurance if they were injured on the job. I mean, yeah. So say what you will about Jimmy Hoffa. My grandfather said he's a good man. I'm going to say at least was part of him. He was a good man. I think he had the best of intentions, you know.
Right.
So Jimmy Hoffa's main focus was, look, with me in charge, the mob does not run everything. with someone else in charge, they will bow to what the mob wants. Now,
yeah, okay.
He really, was like, yep, they, borrow money from us and invest it and give us back huge amounts more.
Right.
But I don't do their bidding. They're not in charge of, which I have to believe. I have to believe that. Right. Maybe it's not true. Maybe I'm blinded. But, when somebody is trying so hard to get you arrested and put away, a la Bobby Kennedy, it's like, what is it that is so, what he's doing just didn't seem like it was enough to be obsessed.
Right.
And quite frankly, they were obsessed with each other. Jimmy Hoffa hated Bobby Kennedy. Bobby Kennedy wanted Jimmy Hoffa put away.
Right. But it's not like it's not like the Kennedys had zero strings. I mean, there you
go, baby.
There's other parts
Joe
to
Kennedy.
That story too.
Apparently, his dad, Joe Kennedy, pretty influential up there.
Yeah.
I see. I knew you would know more. I did not.
Yeah,
I did not know this until I started diving in.
Okay, all right.
You need to see The Irishman.
Okay, I wrote it down on my.
It's 3 hours and 20 minutes, and I hate ideas of movies like that, and it's you don't get bored.
Yeah, I'm in.
You do. Like, I will tell you, in college, I had to go see Gandhi as a project. Okay. And my friend Brian and I went, and back then in the 1800s when I was in college, they had to stop and change reels.
Oh, nice.
Because it was like a 3-hour movie.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, I'm going to die. And now, with streaming at home or, the comfort of a lot of cinemas now.
Right.
It's like your living room with a recliner and they serve you dinner and you lean back or whatever.
I went to see a cartoon with my boys the other day. And on the way, Nathan says, oh, well, how long is it? And I said, well, cartoons used to be like standard 89 minutes, but I'm going to guess like over 2 hours at least for this one or whatever. And then like by the time we stopped and looked it up, it was just over
easily
2 hours for just a cartoon.
Yeah.
Standard is 3.5 hours for a blockbuster movie, whatever now.
It's worth it. There are people who say it could have been trimmed, and there are people that said I wouldn't have wanted 1 minute. It was a progression.
Yeah,
of a 40-year relationship.
And I'm going to be watching. I'm not in the theater.
Right.
I'm going to be watching at home, so
you
I can
pause it and pee.
Go, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you have your 7 restroom breaks as 007, Bevan.
Yes.
Yeah.
All 7 of them.
Yeah, all 7 restroom breaks in a 3.5-hour period.
Yeah. No.
All right. So I think The Irishman is a really good background, whether it's true or not.
Right.
Because, Frank Sheeran takes responsibility.
Okay.
So, we know that Jimmy Hoffa disappeared in, July of 1975. August 8th of 1975, the FBI gets a search warrant to and look into his car because it was left in the parking lot of the Red Fox.
Okay.
So he was supposed to meet, Tony Pro, and who, was this New Jersey mob figure at, 2:00 at the Red Fox. He leaves his house at 1 p.m., stops to visit a friend in Pontiac, Michigan, goes to the Red Fox restaurant in Bloomfield Township, calls his wife at 2:15 on a payphone and says nobody showed up. Now, one thing about Jimmy Hoffa, which you'll see in the movie, if you're late, fuck you.
Oh, okay, good.
He shows up to all meetings wearing a suit.
Oh, nice. Okay.
He gives people 10 minutes.
And that's it.
Tony Provenzano said, I think 15 for a business meeting because Tony Provenzano's late. And he's like, you're late. And he goes, there was traffic.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You're late.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that because I wish I had that strong of a boundary. On other people. I was like, you're on time. You're very on time. And if you're not, usually tell me. Sure. No. I make it I have a hard time when I had kids, that whole shift where I have to take care of it, and all of a sudden, now I'm late sometimes. Oh, I hate being late. But I would rather sit there for 15 minutes beforehand and stare at a chair, and then 15, 20 minutes staring at an empty chair. Yeah. I wish I just said, nope, fuck you, you're out.
And then get up and
go.
Yeah, it was, I did love Jimmy Hoffa's way of treating everything like a business.
Yeah.
And he felt like it was disrespectful to anyone. And it is.
For sure.
To me, it was a control issue. If you're habitually late, and I have a few friends who are habitually late for zero reasons. There are zero reasons for them to be 5, 10, 15 minutes late. It's just a mindset, and you are in control, and it's subconscious. You are not consciously trying to put anyone out or be disrespectful. You are going to show up on your time, on your own time when you fucking want to.
Right.
It's a subconscious thing, but it's so fucking a control issue. It's a control freak thing.
A control, you're on the part of the person who's late?
Yes.
You
subconsciously are, I'm going to show up when I fucking want. You don't tell me. It's none of this is conscious. You do not want to hurt your friend or put them out. You don't want to even cause that chaos and resentment and passive aggressiveness, but you're going to do it because
it's a dominance thing. Like I'll show up 15 minutes late and you'll be in the fucking chair waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's
just my theory. I'm not a doctor.
No,
as far as you know.
I hear your theory, and I don't really have any objections to it.
I don't believe it's conscious at all. I think it's a deep, deep subconscious feeling.
All of the people that I know fit that, though.
It's a deep, deep feeling of insecurity. It's one thing in your life you can control. I will control this situation, and I'll show up when I fucking want to. Yeah. It's just a deep feeling of insecurity. That's why I feel like it's not conscious. They don't want this, but they're going to make it happen every time.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Everybody that I know who is like that has that. And
their
model. Yeah.
Their excuses every time. Tough shit. Don't matter. Not real.
Yeah. Because
they'll invent them.
Super thin
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like I went up a few notches in your esteem right then because of my theory.
I like that theory. Well, and it also, the other side of it, I also value my friends more who show up on time.
Of course you do.
Like,
and your friends who show up late would be heartbroken to hear you say that. It's also tough shit.
And in all honesty, I spend less time with those people.
Yes, you do.
I don't have a hard, fast boundary like Jimmy Hoffa.
Right.
And
you don't show up wearing a suit.
And look at my watch, set a timer.
More than 10 minutes late, you are being beyond disrespectful, and it's unprofessional.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish I had that kind of boundary, but no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he calls his wife at 2:15 from a payphone. Look, nobody showed up, and then that's it. That's the last anyone hears of him. His car is still left in the Red Fox Diner restaurant in the parking lot. The FBI gets a search warrant, and the only thing they find are fingerprints from a family friend that are on a 7-Up bottle that's under the right front seat.
The right front seat of his own of his car.
It's the only thing found with fingerprints, and that is a 7-Up bottle. Quite sure everything else was wiped clean.
Oh, everything's wiped.
Well,
okay.
75. We don't know.
Sure.
Wiped. But the only thing with a fingerprint is a 7-Up bottle that they missed because it was under the seat, but it didn't have anyone's fingerprints on it that would have killed him.
Oh.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, I see. I'm with you now.
Okay.
So they wiped the whole... So it's possible... Oh, so he calls his wife at 2:15. His MO would be, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm getting in the car. I'm coming home.
He would have started to drive home.
Yep.
The possibility is somebody drove his car back and wiped it.
So his car was left there. He called from a payphone in the parking lot of the restaurant.
Right. Okay.
He never got back to his car. Yeah. Or if he did, they got him out of it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
And then wiped it.
Yes.
Except for the bottle,
which they missed because it was under their seat.
Sure.
So in September, 2 months after, a grand jury convenes in Detroit to investigate, where did he go?
Okay.
So between 75 and 85, there's more than 200 FBI agents assigned to the case. They're in New Jersey, Provenzano home, Detroit, Tony Giancaloni's home. They're in Michigan and other cities. And during that period, there are 7 volumes of files that are compiled with 16,000 pages.
Wow.
Yeah. 6 suspects are named, including Provenzano and Gian Colon, and none of them are, convicted of this.
Sure.
They get convicted on unrelated charges and try and sweat them out. What did you do with Hoffa? But
got it.
Yeah. So in 1982, as a lot of places have, 7 years. So 7 years after his disappearance, he's declared legally dead.
Got it.
In 1982, self-described mafia murderer Charles Allen, who served prison time with Hoffa. Hoffa was in prison for 4 years, 67 to 71, on, charges that he'd fixed a trial in Nashville in 61.
Okay.
So, and it's Bobby Kennedy who gets him convicted, a federal jury of, for these, I don't know if it was witness tampering, it was something.
Okay. It was Bobby Kennedy before he was. Okay.
And then he, spends 4 years. He had been given 20 or 25 years in a federal prison. He spends 4. And in 1971, Richard Nixon pardons him.
Huh. Okay. Specifically him, or was it in a group of
him?
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in 1982, the same year he's declared dead, Charles Allen comes out and says, I killed Jimmy Hoffa under Tony Pro's orders. He was ground up in little pieces, shipped to Florida, and thrown in a swamp to be eaten by alligators. Mm. Now, I will tell you, FBI agents say that's preposterous.
Okay.
That didn't happen. There are so many. Jimmy Hoffa has been murdered in every way a human being could be murdered, and in ways I've never heard of. So it's every mobster has come forward to say they did it, and here's how. And it's all honestly, I hate to say it, I truly believe Frank Sheeran's version over anything else.
Got it.
I'm just going to say that. That's just me.
Okay.
So in 1989, self-described hitman Tony the Greek claims Hoffa was buried under Giant Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The FBI finds that there's no evidence to support that. There's, these FBI's organized crime unit says that, whoever did this, and this is 1989, it's we might still be able to solve this. We might be able to find some things to solve this. I think they're holding out some sort of hope, but they know it's getting, further and further away.
Sure.
More time goes by.
Right.
March of 2002, the FBI says it's going to refer the case to Oakland County, Michigan prosecutor's office for state charges. They say, the FBI says that this case has been stymied because of the length of time since he disappeared. In August of 2002, Oakland County prosecutor says new DNA evidence in Hoffa's disappearance is insufficient to bring criminal charges. And that is where Frank Sheeran in The Irishman says in 2002 in his autobiography, but really written by someone else, so biography, but told to a journalist, I hear you paint houses. Mm-hmm. He says, I knew Jimmy's death was imminent, and I felt it should be done by a friend.
Wow.
He says he showed up to the meeting at the Red Fox, took Jimmy to a house in Bloomfield Township, Michigan, waited till he was distracted, shot him twice in the back of the head, and disposed of his body in a trash compactor behind another restaurant in Michigan. Huh. And mob-related garbage men picked up the trash compactor so that no one would look and see that the trash compactor had
human bodies. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he says this when he is in a, nursing home.
Right.
Frank Sheeran says that I killed my friend.
Wow.
Yeah. This one makes me laugh so hard. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. in August of 2002, they dig up the floorboards of this home. Frank Sheeran gives them the address of the house.
Right.
And there is blood found under the floorboards.
Okay.
It's not Hoffa's.
Oh.
Right.
So someone was killed there? Is it a lot of blood? Like, is it?
It's enough that it would be like someone didn't cut their leg shaving and it leaked under the floorboards.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a full-on injury. It's a full-on.
Yes. Okay. Unsurvivable injury.
Okay.
A house owned by the mafia.
Okay.
That potentially Frank Sheeran took Jimmy Hoffa to, shot him there, and the blood in the floorboards is not his.
Okay. So either the story is true and that
there's
was a
no
house
evidence
that they normally did. So somebody else was shot there too, or it's not true and he's mixing it up with a different guy.
Or
oh, you meant Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah. Oh, not Bob. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how is his mental state at that point?
Pretty sharp.
Okay, he is sharp. Okay.
Pretty sharp.
Okay. You just said nursing home, so I flashed to
not Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Age home.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 All right.
So this is my favorite one, and it makes me laugh for one specific detail. If you've ever seen any of the documentaries on Richard Kolinsky, the Iceman, married, kids, his name is the Iceman because he just, was a mob hitman, just killed with impunity, just didn't care,
cold as
ice in his veins, right? So he said that he killed Jimmy Hoffa and put his body in a car that was sculled as scrap metal. He has a book called The Iceman Confessions of a Mafia Contract Killer. He said he was paid $40,000 for the job. He said his body's in a car in Japan somewhere, scrap metal. And this is my favorite part. It was like, that would have been the supreme insult to Jimmy Hoffa because Richard Kolinsky was not a Teamster. He was killed by a non-Teamster.
Wow. That's the worst thing you can do to a guy.
Yeah, that was my favorite. That was my favorite one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He would not want to be killed by the Iceman because he was not a supporter of the union, for fuck's sake. Get a union guy to do the job. For fuck's sake.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I know. That's my favorite. That makes me laugh so hard.
All right.
In 2006, the FBI searches a horse farm in Oakland County's Milford Township in Detroit, northwest of Detroit, to look for his remains, but there's nothing there. So this legal counsel for ABC7 says, I do believe there's a probability that some associates and people who were involved in Hoffa's disappearance may still be alive. They're pretty old by now, and I think information is probably passed down generationally to the mafia. There are people who know how and why this happened and where he is. But it's, 49 years now. Right. At the end of July this year, it's going to be 49 years since he's been missing. Wow. Has it been too long? Is there anyone really left who knows? That's kind of the question. And there is a consensus among FBI agents that it sort of bothers me that this is where they came to a conclusion, but maybe it's because of information they received, but that he was killed quickly and his corpse was dissolved in a vat of acid and he's never going to be found. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if FBI is feeling this because they want it to be closed. I mean, they're saying, the thing that would be the best for the public is if there was closure. But that's the thing. I don't know that there's ever going to be closure in this case.
Sure. Because even if you find how he died and maybe who specifically killed him, there's so many more dynamics.
Right.
Yeah.
The person or persons who did it may not even be alive anymore.
Right.
But it would be if there was a definitive piece of DNA or something that proved it, it would be fascinating just to have an ending.
Right.
I do agree that the FBI understands that the mythology of Jimmy Hoffa would it would put a lot of things to rest if the public knew exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And there's been, you know, all of these searches and diggings, and he's under every bridge that was ever built in New Jersey. You know, it's so fascinating. Like, people come out of the woodwork, like carpenters and metal workers. Well, I helped, you know, bury him under this bridge that we installed. And it's like, oh my God. It's a lot.
Right.
And it's, you know, they haven't really stopped looking.
Sure.
They haven't given up. I mean, in 2023, they were looking under, you know, not only another horse farm, but like a swimming pool.
Like he would
buried under a swimming pool, and then a pool was poured.
Huh.
I mean, it's like, you know, I do have to say, I love the title of Frank Sheeran's biography, I Heard You Paint Houses, which is code for I heard you kill people.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's what you say on the phone because you don't want your phone tapped. I heard you paint houses.
And okay.
And Frank Sheeran would say, yeah, and I do my own carpentry. That's like, I paint houses and I do it myself.
Right.
I don't farm it out.
Right. Okay. And then they arrange a meetup.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you paint this property?
That's super spy.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love that that's the code word. Whether that's real or not, it sure does sound good, you know?
It sounds really cool.
So Charles Brandt, who was a former prosecutor and ended up becoming a journalist, said, you know, Frank Sheeran said to him, Jimmy Hoffa didn't feel it. He didn't suffer. You know, he said his death was going to be a foregone conclusion. And I just really thought someone who knew him and the thing, you know, needed to do it. And the thing that is so heartbreaking is that the film, you know, the source material is this book, I Heard You Paint Houses. And we are just going to have to go on faith that this is, you know, let's say mostly the truth, let's hope. Sure. Because, you know, Marty Scorsese made a fucking kick-ass film. But he expresses Jimmy Hoffa's soft side and his loyalty, and he tells Frank Sheeran, you know, I love you. Oh. In a guy kind of way. Yeah. You know, I love you, and I love you, you know, and hugs him, and he trusts them with his family. Their wives connect. I mean, they were friends for 40 years. Wow. And I guess he felt like it was a supreme honor somehow to kill his friend, so somebody else didn't do it and make it more painful.
God, what a mindfuck moment that is. So, I mean, okay. Yes. I also don't kill people, so I don't like. I'm trying to imagine
the mindset
of, well, it's gonna happen. I got to do it.
Right. Like Old Yeller.
Yeah, exactly. I got to put him down. I got to put it. Because, what if
he was garroted?
That sounds horrible.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
And he's going to suffer for days or whatever. And
even minutes. Or hours or, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
There is some grace in that if you know, believe in grace for someone who kills people. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's intense.
Yes. Yes, sir. It is. So besides Richard Kolinsky, the Iceman, there is another one that is fascinating, largely dismissed. Joseph Franco, who was an associate of Hoffa's, you know, he called himself a thief, extortionist, leg breaker, and hired hitman. He said a pair of federal agents abducted Hoffa, took him up in an airplane, and threw him out somewhere over one of the Great Lakes. Now, the only thing that makes me believe that is the Great Lakes are so cold, bodies sink to the bottom, they don't rise up. I didn't know that, but that's fascinating to me. There's probably so many bodies in Lake Superior and Lake Michigan.
Sure, and there's animals there that would eat them, right? I mean,
they wouldn't rise. Not if a part of them survived, they wouldn't rise.
They would sink to the bottom and just become
because of the temperature of the water. Yeah, which is fascinating to me. So the only reason that you know, the federal prosecutors believed him is because he was trying to use this knowledge to get immunity from federal prosecutors on another case. Like, hey, I killed Jimmy Hoffa and I was with these federal agents that kidnapped him and threw him out over Lake Superior. Can you give me a lesser sentence?
Right.
It's like, okay. So there's, every now and then these stories keep coming up, like, Florida, garrote, wet concrete, pool, farm, giant stadium, scrap metal in Japan. He's part of a car in Japan. I mean, it's like, oh my God. Oh my God. All of these things keep coming up because of his mythology as a human being.
Yeah.
And finding out would be great. I mean, his son, James P. Hoffa, was elected in 1999 to take over, for his dad. And he said, the mafia, killed my father. If you vote for me, they'll never come back.
Wow.
I know. So I think there's a couple of beautiful statements in my mind that kind of wrap up our feeling about this case. Again, whether, pro or con, it's still a terrible thing for his family and those who loved him that he's gone. NPR's Alan Greenblatt said, everyone knows we all must die, but the people who go missing entirely tap into all of our primal fears.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah, for sure.
And a professor at Syracuse University, Bob Thompson, said, closure is the death knell to these kinds of things. We may keep this story alive with our imaginary details, and the stage may forever be unknowable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's true too.
For sure.
I mean, it's, 49 years later, the story is so mythologized and well done. Yeah. I didn't think the movie Hoffa with Jack Nicholson was bad at all. But I think The Irishman is a more poetic telling.
Right.
And longer for sure.
Okay.
But interesting nonetheless.
Okay. Well, I've got homework. I'll watch them both.
Yeah. And knowing what my grandfather said, a man who didn't cry a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
Said he's gone, and my grandmother said who? And he said Hoffa. And he said he was a good man. Yeah. And I know he believed that. And my grandfather was not a thief or, he was just the opposite. I feel like I got a lot of my compassion from him. Yeah. He was known to give people money. And my grandmother would wonder where it went, and he wouldn't say. And other people would come to my grandmother later and say, Russell helped me when I didn't have any money. Mm. I mean, it was a testament when he passed away, the people that showed up.
Wow.
People we didn't know he had helped.
Oh.
He was that guy. Yeah. He was like, whatever he had, you had.
Right. That's beautiful.
So the fact that he revered Jimmy Hoffa, I feel went deeper than this is a guy who is helping me get the amount of money I need to support my family in a way I never thought I could. Right. No. He believed in, his mission, and, I don't know how it all happened, good or bad, but I can tell you I was very moved by how my father felt and my grandfather felt about him. Yeah. So that's all I know about Jimmy Hoffa from this side of the world. So if you have a tip on a missing person or unsolved homicide, or you just want to suggest a case to us, please give us a call at 832-TIPSTER. That's 832-847-7837. You can email us at jttipsters@gmail.com. You can find us on any of the social media platforms. And again, if you're enjoying this content, please consider giving us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. And more cowbell.
If you would like to support this podcast and get early access and other cool murderous swag, go to patreon.com/justthetipsters.